Denial, suppression, oblivion. For green. The rest of you get in there.
Did you hard guess?
Yes.
Yes.
What else are you gonna do?
I'm doing it even if it's boy. You better be good as it.
Yeah. I mean, normally you just say green, go in and see who it is, and then once you scout, you send red to queen or something. But oh, very cool.
This kid is the bane of raiders everywhere, and with good reason too. Compared to the other mobile sandbags you send your strongest parties to, Boy has the most instances of Mario Party and invuln. It's a boss fight you can't easily sight read, and has small enough DPS windows that reveals the painful reality of your class outside of training mode. So, I can sympathize. I mean, hey, I haven't taken the current endgame as seriously as I did during Praise Selling earlier, so with my current lazy approach to Director Kang meta, I definitely have bad uptime on Boy by my own standards too. So, as an excuse to create a video to farm internet points, let's try to get better at this the Blob way. About one timeline ago, I told you guys to take guide mode seriously, to practice practical rotations. But with squad mode release, that method has improved greatly. I've been loving squad mode Sirocco the past few months. It does a lot of good things I've always wanted from a solo mode. It's got similar boss AI to raid, and consistent encounter timings. And the best part? You can carry the worst of your alts through this with your mains, while still being able to isolate damage reports for yourself. So for this video, I'm going to use footage of my alt chaos to find something to improve on. I did make it obvious though what the topic of this video is with the thumbnail, so let's just skip to what immediately jumped out to me at first. Check this out. Alright, quiz time. What's the difference between this clip and this clip? It seems like I executed these similarly, but one resulted in a hold and the other didn't. Most players' initial experience with the current raid meta is that true hold combos like we did in early raids or even modern pre-raid farming content just don't work. Any holds you actually get just feel incidental, just like here. But if Boy is an annoying fight against an invuln jumping bean, why don't we just think to find all the conditions for the new hold system in the first place? Because these clips aren't random. There has to be an answer for this. And if successful, we can finally bring hold combos back to the arsenal. So let's start with the basics. Okay, admittingly, this part is for the newer players on the basics of DFO's unique hold system. And I'm just going to throw out a pretty generalized rule right away. Juggling and hit type throws are not going to work at all for the foreseeable future. So, knowing which moves your class has that always does some type of hold against ungrabbable state mobs is important. A good way to test this is to summon one of the attack type ungrab mobs like this machine. And for the test, let's use the cast bar for this. This monster has a cast bar when it tries to do an attack. The intention was for the old meta where there was kind of like a hit, counter hit, throw type of gameplay going on, but now we're just going to use it to confirm whether a move is a super hold or not. If on this cast bar attack, it does nothing to the rate of the increase of the bar, your skill is just a normie. And if you thought it was a grab, it's actually just a hit throw. But if you interrupt this cast bar, you have yourself a keeper. And the announcer might just hype you up for doing so too. Like the man says, these moves that work on ungrabbable mobs like this most of us already know as super holds. They are skills that put mobs into a hold state even if they can't be thrown around or juggled normally. What happened in this boy clip then? The skill I just showed you passed this test, so why does this not work here? The answer is mobs can have a state that's not just an grabbable state. They can also just be straight up immune to super holds. And in our current raid meta, it seems like 90+% of the time, bosses can't be super held. But what about the second clip? This super hold move actually hits. The hypothesis is that despite Boy's seemingly perma super hold immunity, his pattern to pattern transition might just be super grabbable even if they only last one frame. And for all the DFO boomers, you already know what this is leading to. It's very reminiscent of anti-raid pattern holds. Because it doesn't matter if Boy was made to have perma anti-super hold all the time. If there's even a frame of this idle animation existing, you can start a wobble on this kid. From years of experience, I'm pretty sure this is the case. Actually, we can test this right away and also pick up some visual cues for when these hold opportunities present themselves. Let's go to our next set of clips. Invincible, invincible. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Resonance hit. Oh, hold immune. Does that mean I mistimed this? So what about the bolt after? It's still hold immune. It's got that hold immune or their idle animation. Oh, that's a super hold, like breaking animation. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Basically what I confirmed here is that there's definitely an opportunity to super hold the boss between immunity patterns. Timing for this is going to be an issue though, since the idle animation frames seem to vary from as low as a 1 frame window. And that's going to be a double issue since I'm using Resonance as a starter. This skill requires soldier summons to catch up to you first, and as we saw before, there's already a clear delay to hold startup. So we're going to need some visual cues for when each pattern is about to end in order to preempt this. Well, future me has already taken care of this. Please take a look. Now, I know it may be intimidating trying to memorize all of those patterns, their startups, their enders, but let me simplify it for you. Just try to think in terms of, if I feel like a pattern is ending, I will try to grab, because that's where most of the pattern transitions are. And as you grow your muscle memory, your success rate with this will go up substantially. And hey, remember when I said Resonance had the downside of having to preempt the patterns as they come? Well, if we know those already, then we get all of the upside, because Resonance is something known as a lingering hold skill. By lingering holds, I mean that in DFO code terms, the decision that the overlapping hitbox of this move on bosses resulting in a super hold has to be executed on every frame of this active animation. And that's a whole lot of words to just say, it be holding all the time. You also have to be ready for the possibility that a move can have the actual hold judgment in the first frame of animation instead of, rechecking every frame. For comparison, Smash Brawl on Chaos is not a perfect lingering hold, as it seems to have periods of small patches of hold decisions versus Resonance, which is literally Dark Templar line. Moves with good properties like this are pretty important because it trivializes timing hits. If a move is lingering, you just do it and it works. If the move is not lingering, well, we're gonna have to go back and frame count and, time stuff for once. But think of what we have here. If we have some competence in patterns, and we have a skill that has easy timings to hold the boss, and it's a low CD skill that you don't normally use for damage, then we got a gorilla tier hold starter. Alright, nice. Let's go to training room and let's find all the different things we could do off this skill now. Since we're committing to Resonance as a starter, it kind of simplifies our hold combos. Again, our holds are Resonance, as we said before, Sky Sword with the Black Bolt Talisman, Horde Charge, Genocide Crush Brawl. Now, there's one overarching rule that needs to be followed. When you do a hold combo in Boy, you must have it be an airtight combo. There can't even be one frame of him being unheld, because if you do that, he's gonna go super hold immune and jump away as usual. Very annoying. As for Chaos, you don't really need to time that hard. You just need to hit confirm Resonance, hit him with the Black Bolt follow-up, and while it's still in Black Bolt, Genocide Brawl. Now a little bit of a note here, for the Genocide Brawl part, it's mandatory to have Tragic Rocket Talisman. That's why my Genocide Crush looks like this. But what this does is, you don't recover the same as you do without the Talisman. So the Genocide Brawl length is actually just a little bit tougher than usual. Make sure you practice it, or just mash it, it'll probably work. But in that clip before where I whiffed, that's why that whiffed. There was a hole because of a mis-timing Genocide into Brawl. We're not here to be hold slaves though. You can't just go around resonancing, doing this and then this, Brawl, whatever. There's actually enough time during your recovery on these holds that you can fit in filler skills. So let me show you a few examples. This is a very common one. We have Resonance. You could fit Massive Fire, Black Bolt, Genocide Brawl. That's like basically the burst combo anyway. Now here are things you can't do. You can't Resonance and then use Legion Array, Sack Bomb, or Horde Charge, because Chaos has a unique disability of requiring the summons to be active to do certain skills. So when you have it in resonance states, that's an inactive state. That means the soldier summons, you can't use Legion Array at all. And Sack Bomb, there's nothing to kick. They're just stuck there. And as for Horde Charge, when you resonance, they don't charge with you either. Now you could still get the solo Chaos charging damage, but it's like half of the damage, so there's no point in doing this mid-resonance. Now there are some workarounds. You could resonance, and at the very end Black Bolt, and you should have enough time to do like this. But even that takes so long to do. I am just going to say don't sweat the min-maxing of Legion Array, Sack Bomb, and Horde Charge in any of these. Just go for the big boy stuff. Also, technically, you could do some Ice Climbers where you know, charisma them away. And usually this is a bad thing, but that means you could resonance here and still get a Legion Array. That one dude that we Legion Arrayed with, you only need one of them active to get this full damage now. It's not like the old Demon Wall. Still not worth it, but you know, you kind of look cool doing it, and people like Secret Tech stuff. There you go, Secret Tech. Alright, so what about alternate combos? Because this is basically, you know, the standard rotation. But as you remember from the first video, I told you guys, the skills you use in a sandbag combo won't always be the same in the actual dungeons, and that's due to variations in cooldown availability. So what are some other moves we're allowed to fit in between this resonance here? Actually, the one I'm most interested in is Final Attack, because this skill really sucks to use in sustain. It's kind of like this long active skill where you have to hit with the charge and then the uppercut. If you tip her like this, you actually miss the dash attack, and it's just really hard to hit and sustain. So I'd be interested in fitting this instead. If you have level 5 TP, which is something that's very common, Final Attack actually just becomes longer to do. Alright, so let's test this off Resonance then. Resonance, Final Attack, Black Bolt. Alright, that definitely worked, because usually we depend on the longer Resonance time to get the massive fire and then Black Bolt. Because I already know from experience that Black Bolt and the massive fire, you can't do the follow-up. See, there's a period where there was no actual hold happening. In order for massive fire to fit with a Sky Sword hold, you need the new talisman Rainbow Fantasia, because this lowers the startup and the recovery greatly. Very important talisman to get in the future, but none of my chaos have it yet. Now, maybe you could fit the Final Attack off the Resonance Sky Sword like this. Do it faster. I don't know, that looks like you barely get the full Final Attack damage within a Sky Sword. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because you're guaranteed not to be able to land in time to follow up. Yeah, you definitely can't. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to think about that. Now let me tell you what's really, really out of league. You definitely can't Resonance into 2 Awake. That thing was moving right before I even left the animation. If you do this on Boy, your second Awake is bye-bye. You cannot do that. And something I tested before too, with the longer Resonance, actually, if you commit really early, just like Final Attack, you could kind of barely fit it in the Resonance hold. So still pretty shady, and you know what? This skill does no damage anyway. I don't even think it even matters if you fit it in here or not. Also, on the topic of whiffing important moves, there's another mechanic I forgot to tell you about. If you look at footage of people fighting current meta bosses, you'll see that in the top left, there's a lock symbol that sometimes turns into a purple bar that ticks down to 0. This is basically the new anti-hold system for the game. Because of course, the game is not going to let you infinite super hold a boss, especially since we're in a 4-player environment. Anyway, you just have to make sure that you don't commit to a long duration skill right as it's about to end. Because when this purple bar reaches 0, the boss will go into a forced super hold immunity state again, and most bosses combo that into some type of pattern that lets them zip away immediately. You'll still have your opportunity to hold them again, but you're probably going to be forced to see one more pattern if this goes through. Alright, our plan is looking pretty good now. Just remember, find a lingering super hold move for your class that is any combination of low CD, low importance for DPS, and easy to hit confirm. Then, develop a good feel for boss pattern startup and ending animations to better anticipate holding opportunities. And finally, be ready to hit him with the training room combo that's a good balance of holding for the party and contributing damage. After all this, it's time to take a look at how my hold hit rate is like on Boy now. And it's cool, but I know there are a lot of you out there going like, well, my class doesn't have the ability to hold combo like this, what do I get? And I just want to say to you, don't underestimate the small amount of hold skills you get. Some hold combos can have huge extensions if you can cover for these holes other classes naturally have. But I know we're not a hive mind, so I suggest using your pity holds on helping timing the initial hold, because you might just bait your teammates into doing the full hold for you. And there you have it. The boy fight is now 1% more bearable. Remember though, holding is just a simple concept, and insanely enough, the true endgame is pulling back from what I taught you here about holding and going for that sweet 25% counter damage bonus instead through challenging the boss patterns directly. As easy as the game seems now compared to before, remember, there's always huge damage increases to be had that could come from skill like this. Don't get stuck on the hamster wheel of ebb and envy forever. Okay, we good? I've been Content Blob. This is the beginning of my Concept of Blob series for Dofo. See you later.